Well, good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on Treaty 6 lands. Mio Tutako and Tatawa, that is Cree for guests. You're welcome. There is room here. We are here today because it's a great day for Alberta and a great day for Canada. And I'm here to bust some myths related to our commitment to the oil and gas sector. Fact, Minister Sohi and I went to Ottawa to make sure that we could see Trans Mountain built in the right way and get our Alberta oil to markets other than the United States. Fact, our government invested $4.5 billion to build this project in the right way. Fact, we committed $1.5 billion to the Oceans Protections Program because in our country the environment and the economy and energy all go hand in hand. Ontario, BC, colleagues and I created the Environment and Energy Caucus inside our government so that we could have the hard conversations needed to lead to today. And the reason that today is so important is because we are here because we care about Alberta. I care, Amarjeet cares, Prime Minister Trudeau cares about Alberta. We are here because oil and gas jobs and pipeline jobs matter. We are here because having only one customer that takes 99% of our oil isn't smart business. In fact, it's really dumb and it's costly. And it's costed us between $12 and $15 billion a year, and that ends with the Trans Mountain expansion pipeline. I'm here for Edmonton, Amarjeet is here for Edmonton, so is the Prime Minister, and we are all here for Alberta and for Canada. And a funny thing happens when you do things in the right way. You can actually cut child poverty in half in Alberta, as we have done. You can raise 17,000 kids out of poverty in Edmonton, and that would fill Rogers Place. And when you add their parents, it would fill Commonwealth Stadium. We can also have 8 times the amount of infrastructure committed to our city in 4 years compared to what the previous Conservative government did. We are here for Edmonton, we are here for Alberta, we are here for Canada, and one of the great champions and warriors behind this project today is my friend, the Minister of Natural Resources and the Member of Parliament for Edmonton Millwoods, Amarjeet Sohi.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Randy, also to all of you and the workers and people who work at the TMC. Once again, you have welcomed us into this space. Actually, some of my constituents from Edmonton Millwoods are part of the workers behind there, and they always welcome to us to here. As Randy has mentioned, our focus from day one has been how can we work hard to build a stronger economy, how we can work hard to create opportunities for middle-class Canadians and those who work hard each and every day to be part of the middle class. And within that frame is our commitment to developing our natural resources in a sustainable and responsible way. Canada's natural resources and Alberta's oil and gas has been a source of well-paying middle-class jobs for Canadians for decades. And we want to make sure that it remains a source of well-paying middle-class jobs for decades into the future. But in order to do that, we need to make sure that economy and the environment and our commitment to climate change are met. And within that frame was the consultation that we took once the Federal Court of Appeal decision came on August 2018. We did the hard work to get where we are today, and I'm so honored and privileged to be here standing with my colleague Randy Boyce, and our Prime Minister, Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, and I'm going to invite him to talk about this important projects, why it is important not only for Alberta but for Canada, and how we are moving forward on this project in the right way. So, Prime Minister.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And I have to give a big thank you as well to Amarjeet and Randy for their constant advocacy on behalf of the people of Edmonton. It's great to be back visiting with workers here at the Trans Mountain Edmonton Terminal. Thank you again for taking time with me this morning. This is my first visit to Alberta since our government announced some very big news. Last month, we approved the Trans Mountain Expansion Project. And we really could not have gotten this done without the tireless work of one particular proud Edmontonian and Canada's Minister of Natural Resources, Amarjeet Sohi. Thank you, Amarjeet, for all the work you did on this. Last August, the Federal Court of Appeal told us that if we wanted to consider moving ahead with TMX, we had to do better. And they were right. So we spent the last year re-engaging with Indigenous groups to see how we could move this project along in the right way. At the end of the day, we listened, and we are acting on what we heard. And so, this past June, we approved this project. Approving the Trans Mountain expansion was big news for Albertans and big news for Canadians. You see, the successful construction and operation of TMX is in Canada's national interest. Here's why. Currently, 99% of our energy resources are sold to a single market, the United States. Anyone can tell you that in business, being tied to one customer won't keep you in the driver's seat for long. So by twinning the Trans Mountain pipeline, we'll be able to move more of our oil resources to international markets and diversify beyond the US. That's the biggest reason for our decision to move forward, but it's not the only one. This project will create thousands of good jobs for engineers, tradespeople, and construction workers from Alberta, BC, and places right across the country. This is especially important here because, as we know, folks in Alberta have had a rough go these past few years. In order to support Alberta and see Albertans get back on their feet, we have to get a fair price for our oil resources. And TMX will help us do exactly that. Le projet TMX offre également de nouvelles avenues pour la prospérité économique des peuples autochtones. Nous discutons justement avec eux de la façon dont ils peuvent profiter directement des retombées de ce projet. Et enfin, c'est très important, chaque dollar que nous allons tirer du projet TMX sera réinvesti dans la transition écologique du Canada. Ce qui veut dire qu'on aura plus d'argent à investir dans les projets d'énergie propre qui vont alimenter nos villes pour les générations à venir. Moving forward with the Trans Mountain Expansion Project is the right call for Canada. Hardworking Canadians can feed their families today and, at the same time, invest in tomorrow. Contrary to what some politicians will tell you, we're a government that supports responsible resource development. And that means developing our resources the right way. We can grow our economy while protecting our environment. It's not an either-or proposition, and to claim otherwise is irresponsible. We have to help people get ahead today, but not by shirking our responsibilities to our kids and grandkids. It doesn't help our environment to sell almost all of our oil to the US at a discount. But getting full price for that energy and investing every dollar we make in Canada's clean energy transition, well, that does help our environment. By moving forward with TMX, we're positioning Canadians for success both in the short term and the long term. And that's why I'm so happy to be here, celebrating the good news with the hardworking women and men at the Trans Mountain Edmonton Terminal. So thank you again for joining us, and I'm now happy to take some questions.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre. À quel point est-ce que la Constitution permet au gouvernement fédéral d'imposer à une province qui serait récalcitrante un projet de pipeline? C'est ce que disait Monsieur Kenny il y a quelque temps.
Je pense que nous comprenons que le gouvernement fédéral a toujours la responsabilité de veiller à l'intérêt national. Les projets qui passent à travers différentes provinces sont donc la responsabilité du gouvernement fédéral, parce qu'il n'y a aucune province qui peut contrôler ce qui se passe dans d'autres provinces. En même temps, c'est extrêmement important de s'assurer de remplir le rôle premier d'un gouvernement fédéral, c'est-à-dire de veiller à l'intérêt national tout en s'assurant que l'unité du pays n'est pas menacée. Ça a toujours été ma plus grande priorité et c'est pourquoi nous mettons en place un processus, contrairement au gouvernement conservateur antérieur, qui comprend que la responsabilité environnementale, la consultation avec les communautés locales, y compris les partenariats avec les peuples autochtones, est une façon essentielle d'avancer de la bonne façon dans les projets.
Alors vous pousseriez alors pour un projet similaire à Énergie Est?
Au contraire, comme on a dit, on va analyser chaque projet qui est mis de l'avant. Actuellement, il n'y a aucun projet de pipeline vers l'Est du Canada. Si jamais il y a un projet qui s'avance, on va le regarder de façon responsable selon les processus qu'on a mis en place.
Good morning, Prime Minister, in English and French, if you please. How can you reassure potential buyers that they're not just buying a lawsuit, that they are buying a pipeline, given that in BC you've got a government that still wants to know if you guys can just impede on provincial jurisdiction, in their words, and you've already got another lawsuit filed by 6 First Nations earlier this week?
Well, we understand the concerns that investors have had around political risk. Indeed, those concerns have been prevalent for a good decade now and has led to underinvestment in Canada's natural resource sector. And the root cause of that is, as you say, the fact that court challenges and court cases have impeded the construction of projects, even projects that have been approved by governments, because the courts have found that the approval process in different cases has been lacking. So an international investor wanting to make investment, being reassured that the government can approve something, but not knowing that that approval is actually going to stand against local courts, is a significant break on investment. That's what people saw across Canada over the past decade, where the federal government under the Conservatives made a choice to move forward on projects by ignoring environmental concerns and marginalizing Indigenous voices. Well, that was a recipe for getting bogged down in the courts because the government wasn't fulfilling its responsibilities. So when we took office in 2015, we made a very different choice. We said, no, the way to get big projects built is to engage with Indigenous communities as potential partners, and is to do the environmental protection that all Canadians, including Albertans, expect around big projects. We did that. The Federal Court of Appeal said you need to go even further on that, and that's what we did. When the Federal Court of Appeal came back with its ruling in August, conservative politicians all had the same answer. You've got to fight this in the courts. You need to appeal that decision. You need to change the law. We knew that was a mistake. We knew that instead, we need to change the processes and actually work with Indigenous peoples, actually work with environmental concerns. If conservative politicians had had their way and we had appealed the Federal Court of Appeal's decision, this summer the only people be working would be lawyers in courts instead of these folks behind me, instead of folks putting shovels in the ground later this construction season. We know that the world has changed, and governments need to be responsible on the environment and responsible with Indigenous peoples and community support in order to move forward. Now, that doesn't mean we expect or have to get unanimity on this, but it does mean we have to make sure we're doing the process right. That's what we've done, and that's why we're confident that having fulfilled the blueprint that the Federal Court of Appeals laid out for moving forward on Trans Mountain, that we are doing this the right way and we are going to get that pipeline built to new markets in the right way. Nous comprenons que la façon d'avancer dans des projets, c'est de le faire de la bonne façon. Et de protéger l'environnement et de protéger et de créer des partenariats avec les peuples autochtones. C'est ce que les gouvernements conservateurs n'avaient pas compris depuis 10 ans et continuent de ne pas comprendre. Parce qu'ils insistent qu'il faut aller de l'avant en ne pas écoutant, en ne pas se préoccupant des préoccupations des citoyens, des Canadiens, des Autochtones. Or, ce que nous faisons, c'est que nous démontrons que la certitude aux investisseurs, ça viendra quand ils savent que les processus créés par les gouvernements, s'ils les suivent, ils peuvent être certains qu'ils ne vont pas se retrouver en cours quelques mois après ou quelques années après avec un projet interrompu. C'est notre approche et c'est la bonne approche pour le Canada au 21e siècle.
Thank you again in English and French, please. You and your new star candidate in Quebec, Stephen Guilbeault, have agreed to disagree when it comes to the Trans Mountain, evidently. Now, he's pretty vocally anti-pipeline, has made a career out of it as an environmentalist. How much of a voice will he be when it comes to weighing in on future other energy or pipeline projects?
We are a government that understands that Canadians have a broad range of views on a lot of different issues. And one of the important things for us is to make sure that we are listening to the voices of Canadians, to the preoccupations of Canadians. And that's why we have a great and diverse team that we're building that'll have strong perspectives and strong opinions on what to say. But we've also been very, very clear as a government in buying the pipeline, in moving forward with the pipeline in the right way, that we believe in getting our resources to new markets and investing those profits in a cleaner energy future. And that is something that all Canadians can understand and all Canadians can get behind. And that is what we're going to continue to stay focused on as we make sure that hardworking Canadians today can continue to put food on their table, for kids who will have good jobs and a protected environment as they become adults, as they grow up. That is the path we are on, and in order to get on that path, we need to make sure we're gathering together voices from all different perspectives across the country. Nous savons que les Canadiens eux-mêmes ont bien des perspectives et bien des différences d'opinion sur de grands projets, sur de grands enjeux. C'est pour ça, en tant que parti, je veux rassembler des gens de bien des différentes perspectives qui sont prêts à aller de l'avant ensemble dans la bonne façon pour le Canada. Nous savons, et nous avons démontré qu'en tant que gouvernement, nous savons que c'est important d'atteindre de nouveaux marchés pour nos ressources pétrolières. Mais nous savons aussi qu'il y a énormément de travail à faire pour assurer un avenir meilleur pour nos enfants, nos petits-enfants, dans un monde qui est en train de changer. C'est pour ça que de rassembler des gens qui savent comment on va travailler ensemble pour atteindre un meilleur avenir pour tous les Canadiens, ça a toujours été la force du Parti libéral du Canada.
Colette Wars from the Canadian Press. I'm going to switch gears a bit to China. It's been 6 months, as professional and capable as our diplomats in China no doubt are. What are the reasons why we don't yet have a permanent ambassador?
I think, first of all, we know that we're in a challenging situation with China, and as a government, we have consistently stood up both for the rule of law and for Canadians. We are very concerned with the 2 Canadians being unjustly held in China right now, and we have expressed that to the Chinese, including at the highest levels in direct conversations that I had face-to-face with the Chinese president. We have, as you say, excellent diplomatic representation in China who are doing an outstanding job, and we are making sure that we're moving forward in the right way, in a way that is going to both protect Canadians, uphold the rule of law, and keep a path forward for our economy and our investments. Getting that balance right is something that we're taking very seriously.
And how should Canadians think of John McCallum's term there in light of his recent comments that the foreign minister has disavowed?
The foreign minister addressed yesterday the comments by Mr. McCallum. The focus of this government has always been on standing up for Canadian interests, standing up for the Canadians who are being unfairly detained, and standing up for the rule of law. We will be unflinching about that in our communications, both public and private, as a government, because that is the path to both defending Canada's interests and defending the Canadians that are unjustly held.
Conservatives have already called this, in other words, blatant campaigning on the public dime, not making an announcement here today, just kind of re-announcing the construction. I guess first your response to that.
I think this is an issue that has been preoccupying Albertans for an awfully long time. The fact that successive governments, the Conservative government for 10 years, and our government over the past years, have been working very, very hard to get our resources to new markets. And that we were able to make a determination to move forward on the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion last June. A few weeks ago was very important, but it was also really important for me to come out and make that announcement here in Alberta. It's really important to me as Prime Minister that I be saying the same things right across the country. And coming out here to talk about not just the pipeline expansion, but our need to have a serious plan to fight climate change is something that all Canadians need to hear. We have conservative politicians trying to pretend that there's still a choice between the economy and the environment, and demonstrating that they are not serious about actually moving forward on the greatest challenge of our time, fighting climate change. It is important that the Prime Minister be here to remind Canadians that we do not have to pit one corner of the country against each other, that families here in Alberta want to see a cleaner, greener future for their kids at the same time as they need to keep putting food on their table for their families. And that we are a government that understands both of those things and are going to stay focused on that unequivocally. And unfortunately, Conservative politicians are choosing to play a high degree of politics, including bringing up threats to national unity, which we categorically reject. All Canadians right across the country want to see us move forward with a growing economy that protects the future of our kids and grandkids. And that's exactly what we are doing, because that's what Canadians, including Albertans, expect us to do. And I'm going to keep talking about that right up and right through this upcoming election. Je pense que les gens savent que c'est important que leur Premier ministre soit présent à travers le pays. Ils disent la même chose à chaque place où il va à travers le pays. Je suis ici pour réannoncer et pour souligner le fait qu'on va de l'avant avec l'expansion de l'oléoduc Trans Mountain de la bonne façon. Mais je suis aussi ici pour souligner que ça prend des actions concrètes et un vrai plan pour atteindre nos cibles de Paris, pour protéger l'environnement pour nos futures générations. Je pense que c'est la responsabilité du Premier ministre de rassembler les Canadiens autour de ça, et le fait que des politiciens conservateurs sont en train de vouloir diviser le pays et même d'inventer des menaces à l'unité nationale, je trouve ça complètement irresponsable. Nous savons que les Canadiens, d'un bout à l'autre de ce pays, ne veulent pas choisir entre l'environnement et l'économie, savent que la seule façon de bâtir une économie en santé pour les années à venir, c'est aussi en protégeant l'environnement en même temps. Et c'est exactement ce que je vais continuer de faire en tant que Premier ministre.
We had a meeting, the premiers met in Saskatoon this week, but before that meeting there was a block of Conservatives premiers met in Calgary this week. They're plotting against the federal Liberals in this campaign and talking about ways to defeat your government. How is that going to impact your strategy through this election campaign cycle?
Well, I think one of the things that we've seen from Conservative premiers across the country is that they are unwilling to invest in the infrastructure needed by their communities for political reasons. Doug Ford and others have been dragging their feet on working with the federal government that has put forward significant amounts of money for infrastructure projects, and they would rather have their citizens suffer by not taking advantage of this construction season than stand on stage to make an announcement with the federal government. That kind of petty politics that hurts citizens right across the country is an example of the kinds of politics that unfortunately Conservative premiers are beginning to play. We will continue to be there as partners for our cities, and I have to highlight that the collaboration that I've gotten here from Mayor Iveson and in Calgary with Mayor Nenshi on big infrastructure projects has been outstanding, and it's unfortunate that the Premier's office has not been as rapid on highlighting the infrastructure projects that it wants to see us move forward with. There are lots of great infrastructure projects that we've already launched across Alberta over these past years. We want to continue to do that because that is what is needed by Albertans, particularly given the difficult years that they've had. So it would be wonderful for the premiers to stop playing divisive politics and actually work collaboratively on the investments we want to make in their provinces. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you very much. Don't worry about blocking them. There we go.